Hey, this is Mike and Tom with the Muscle and Speed podcast. We're here to talk about our favorite car movies, TV shows, music, and workouts, wheeling, whatever else comes to our mind. We're going to be posting these up once a week. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Muscle and Speed. We also have a website, www.muscleandspeed.com, where we'll eventually be selling some merch. Our goal here is to share our passion for all these things with the people who feel the same way. All right, today's a workout day. We're going to head to the gym later.
Chest day.
Chest and forearms. We're going to do a little pushing, couple sweat hogs down at the gym. Big, not strong, right?
Mm-hmm. Tough.
We are going to be doing some flat bench, some incline. What else are we doing? Cables.
Incline dumbbells.
Incline dumbbells.
No decline.
No decline. We don't care about the bottom of our tits. JT from Muscle and Speed will be joining us, as well as my wife, Jules. Then we're going to work in some forearms. We're going to do some wrist curls. And what are those things you do? I don't do those. What do you do?
Just carrying a dumbbell on end.
Carrying a dumbbell on end. I notice your hands spread pretty wide. Looks difficult. That's why I don't do it.
It hurts.
I'm not about that pain. Then we'll come back here. We're going to do some grippers, extensors. Thank you, Brian Shaw. We were watching a super training video with Brian Shaw where he pointed out in the old school days they'd stick their hand in a 5-gallon pail full of sand and just flex their hand to get the same exercise. Now you can go on Amazon and buy these little handy-dandy rubber band deals that do the same thing. And we did that.
Great.
They work great. Then we're going to grill. Beer.
We're not going to grill beer.
We're not going to grill beer. It'll be burgers. The beer will be cold.
Indeed.
So I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with us. Both of us are in our 40s. That gray beard's no lie. And you got a bum shoulder. So we got to watch that. So not only are we not strong now, we weren't strong when we were younger, but we're even less.
No, I'm old and injured.
I don't really have any injuries other than old scar tissue from an injury I had when I was a kid in my back. That flares up from time to time, but in general, I don't have any pain or anything while we're down there.
Nice. Lucky you.
Yeah. So one of the things we got was a slingshot. Mark Bell sells those. You can go and check that out on the web. Mark Bell, Super Training Gym, the slingshot. He invented it. And we're going to try using that today for you.
I can't wait. It's been working great so far.
I noticed the last... I was listening to one of his podcasts, and he was talking to... It might have been Jesse Burdick. I know he works there or works with him, whatever that is. But he mentioned using the slingshot if you have a bad shoulder. Because one of the reasons he developed was because he tore his pec a few different times benching, and but he mentioned specifically sore shoulders and whatnot. And so supposedly it adds the support, and I have actually used it a couple times, and we'll get into that, but. Supposedly it's going to add support for your bench and help you to do it.
It works great. It's a simplified bench shirt, really.
Yeah. The best ideas are the simplest, aren't they?
That's right.
That's the thing. Myself, one of the goals when I was a kid 20 years ago, I wanted to bench 405, and I wanted to bench it in the worst way. Well, let's go back before that. In high school, it was 315, right?
That was the standard.
The standard in high school, and let me tell you, in high school, I never benched more than like 170 pounds. So I was nowhere near there. I knew guys that could do it. I wasn't one of them. but we got out of high school. I got through college, come up here, met Jules, got married, met you. We started going to the gym. What did we hit? What were our numbers back then?
Oh man, I remember I think I was at 3 plates, maybe.
We hit 315. Like a lot of people, when you get excited about something like that, though, and you start doing it, I think one of the things we did was we took it too far. Too many sets, too many reps.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's a mistake a lot of people make, and we're not personal trainers and we're not professionals, but we've learned that in particular in following some power lifters now, that volume is fine at lower weights, but you can't just pound out reps au naturel, we'll call it.
Yep. It's gonna wear out.
It's gonna wear out. Those shoulders, those hips, those knees, the elbows, they have an expiration date, and every rep you do, every lift you take, you're pulling on that ticket.
That's right.
However, the body is fairly durable, and it can handle quite a bit. You accelerate that situation. And how did you hurt your shoulder? What were we doing?
I believe it was military pressing on the Smith machine.
Huge mistake.
Yeah, not smart.
Huge mistake. So what's going on there, for those who don't know, a Smith machine locks you into a position and the bar travels over a set plane. That means your body does all the moving. The weight, the bar, travels in a single plane straight up and down. The reason that's a problem, and the reason that we got hurt, or you got hurt, was that we had a significant amount of weight for us. I always want to clarify that because there's people way stronger than we are. It was a significant amount of weight for us, and was it 245?
No, I think we had 3 plates, but the bar 0 balance. So
yeah, so we had 3 plates on there, so it's minus a 45-pound bar.
End of the workout.
Someone else do the math. I'm not good at that.
Bad form.
Bad form. So you're wiggling under the weight and you're kind of twisting and wrenching underneath it. And part of the reason for that is there's no danger. It's not going to come back down and crush you. If you're under a free weight, it's all you. You either got it or you don't. You're either pressing that sucker up or it's just going to sit on your shoulders and laugh at you.
Right.
What is it? Henry Rollins says, iron always shoots you the real deal. It sure as hell does.
It never changes.
It never changes.
Always 200 pounds.
That's right. And so you're wiggling out under there a little bit, trying to get that weight up, and something popped, tore, something happened. Something happened, and now you got a funky shoulder that's clunky. It's pain. You said it feels sprained.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. So enter the slingshot. And we've tried many different things. We've tried low weight, low reps, low weight, high reps, to try to figure this thing out. And it really hasn't gotten better. In many ways, it's gotten worse.
Yeah, but that's just pushing, just benching.
That's just benching.
And overhead. Well, overhead pressing too.
So, is it fair to say that now you suck at bench press?
I cannot bench press.
So is it also fair to say that I suck at the deadlift?
No, you're doing good.
Oh, whatever.
You lift more than Julie.
Yeah, I lift 20 pounds more than my wife, who by the way, weighs 105 pounds. Yeah, so
she's not nearly your size.
When we say big, not strong, what I'm talking about is I'm about 6'1", 285 pounds. And my wife is 5 feet tall and about 105 pounds. Hopefully she doesn't kill me for saying that. But she deadlifted 170 pounds the other day, and I was doing 225 at the time. She doesn't, because for her, she built her way up there, and she was really proud of that lift, and so was I. And to her, because when you're her size and you're going up incrementally. If you're a decent sized guy, and you're not like me. You can pull a decent amount of weight right off the bat. I mean, the deadlift is a fantastic exercise, but if you got a decent core, you're going to lift some good weight. And so for me, I'm looking at, wow, you're 50 pounds away from me. You're really close. She doesn't see it that way, but for someone my size, that's terrifying. Not to be outlifted, but just I know I should be doing better, and someday I'll figure it out and do better. But
old back injuries will get you every time.
they do, and it's a fear issue. But that's something I got to work on. So anyways, today, I'm going to try to hit that PR. I want to bench 405.
4 plates today.
I probably won't get it, but I'm going to psych myself up. I'm going to strap on the slingshot and just go for it.
I can slap you in the face a few times. That might help.
You got big hands. I don't need that. I don't even want Julie to slap me in the face. And we'll see how it goes. I know your focus right now is more on incline. That feels a little better.
That doesn't hurt as bad.
And what's your goals there?
Oh, gosh. Just to be able to go to the gym and do anything is a win.
It is. Getting in the door and doing something is better than what most people are doing, which is nothing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you're going to see some pictures later today, maybe even a little video. If I hit my PR, I don't care. I'm going to post it anyway. If I fail, you're going to watch me fail miserably. Start squealing, Tommy will start laughing, and then he'll help me get it off my chest.
It's yours. You got it.
All right. So enough about lifting, at least for now. Let's talk about our diet a little bit, because we brought up grilling. Gonna have them burgers.
Gotta have the burgers.
You gotta have burgers. I'm sorry. I know our diets are far from perfect. That's why we're big, not strong.
Too much beer.
Too much beer. Maybe even. I'm not gonna say too much whiskey, because we are okay. No, it's fine.
Yeah, it's moderation.
Yeah. But in general, I've been trying out intermittent fasting, and so
You're doing like what, 16 hours?
16-8 is the split, and it's not nearly as hard as I thought it would be. But I've heard that because I do a high protein, low carb, I try to.
Yeah.
That helps with that.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Usually 12.
Doing the 12.
6 to 6.
6 to 6. But that falls in line a lot with your work hours too, and
Yep,
your awake
exactly,
hours.
Exactly.
And I think even with the 16-8, because I'm doing more like a noon to 8 is my feeding time when the pig eats. And so I'm not real restrictive on that, and I probably need to be better about that. But I heard about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was talking to George St. Pierre. That was first time I've heard someone really talk about it who was like an athlete, and how it didn't hurt them when it came to workouts and just everyday
St.
life.
Pierre does that?
St. Pierre does that. And for those who don't know, look him up. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time in any sport.
Can you handle his rhythm?
I can't handle that rhythm. Yeah, I haven't been real good about keeping out I don't want to say keeping out, because I'm not as restrictive. This isn't like an Atkins. I'm not really doing a keto thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to eat a little bit smarter than I used to and keep my protein levels up. We both are taking supplements. We are probably the last persons in the world to realize how important branched chain amino acids are. Because the first time I ever bought them was last month.
Yep, month and a half ago.
And I will say it seems like they're helping. It really does. I feel a little better.
Can't hurt.
A little bit more energy. Just it's a little bit better. It's all a little bit better. We don't have that secret sauce. We don't have that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, beyond just trying to cut out the sugars and the crap foods, we're taking some supplements. We got some creatine. We do the monohydrate. I've got Optimum Nutrition's BCAA. It's a 60 serving tub. It should last a month. It's not that expensive. It's pretty good. And then we've got some whey protein.
All the quick and easy stuff.
The quick and easy stuff. Are you taking any vitamins or anything along with it? Or?
Really, no.
Not really. I've got a
Like vitamin D in the winter.
I probably should get some Centrum Silver. Some old man vitamins, but I don't have any. Probably should though. Well, and I'll talk a little bit about. So I've done the Atkins diet, and I'm a person who kind of jumps from like 240 when I'm doing good to like 285, which is where I'm at now. I wasn't that bad until we started going back to the gym. So one of the things about creatine, and everybody knows this, it makes you retain water. You start taking creatine, you go to the gym, you're going to gain 10 pounds. You just will. 15
Without getting
pounds.
moody.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I should try Pamprin. No? Yeah.
Not funny.
Not funny. We're laughing because I just handed my wife a bottle of Pamprin that I found on in a drawer. It was empty. She didn't hit me. She didn't find it as funny as I did.
No,
but you know, I thought it might help. What do we say? If playing hard to get doesn't work,
gotta play hard to want.
that's right. So be careful what version of me you're looking for. So we just watched the Ronnie Coleman documentary. I bought it on Amazon Prime. Tommy came over. We grabbed a couple beers. You know.
I just felt bad watching it.
Yeah. You do, but it's funny because they talked to him about, and for those of you who haven't seen it, you know, Ronnie Coleman, he's had 10, 12 surgeries since he retired. He walks with a walker. Bent over. He's an incredibly upbeat guy, though.
Yeah.
You
I'll
know,
give him that.
yeah. One of the greatest of all time bodybuilders. Someone that we've always been interested in because he started as a power lifter. And believe me, I know it's silly when you talk about the weights we're talking about to mention, you know, Tommy and I as people who are power lifters. I get that, but but it's what we identify with. It's
the best.
It's the thing that we like.
What the best did.
That's right. And to watch Ronnie as a bodybuilder deadlifting 900 pounds just a little bit before he was going to compete in the Olympia. I mean, that the things that he did, nobody did, and they kind of go into that, but there was a cost, and I think that's something that really spoke to Tommy and I when it came to watching that video.
Yeah, he is tore right up now.
Yeah, it was sad to watch, but it was also good. Just watching how he handles life and how upbeat he is. For one thing, he's not the typical athlete, you know, that retires from his sport and is broke in 6 months. You know,
right?
He's still doing well.
He's doing well,
and that's important. He's still going to the gym. You know, they've got that dusty, old, beat up gym that he goes to. He still goes there.
It was the same one, right?
Same one, same guys, same crew.
Wow.
And you know, obviously he's not doing anywhere near what he ever did, and certain things he can't do at all. But
he's going.
But he's going.
Just like us.
Just like us. Yeah, you know, but it makes you think. You know, and we mentioned this earlier when we were talking about our lifting routines, and the reason that we said that, and the reason that we're thinking that is that, you know, there is an expiration date on you. You know, even in, you know, and I realize, you know, Tommy's 41 and I'm 40. It's not like it's not like we're that old, but you have to realize though that at our age, what athletes are still competing in any sport? I don't care what it is.
I can't think of any.
No. You know, you get NFL place kickers that can go into their 40s. You know,
where do golfers go? Do golfers go for a while?
Golfers,
is that a sport?
They join them. That's up for debate. But they join the Masters Tour at some point, and they move on. That's why they have a Masters Tour. Most sports don't have that. Bellator is trying to have a Masters. I think Masters MMA group. They got Tito and Chuck fighting pretty soon for the third time.
Well, that'd be fun to watch.
And that's why they're doing it. You know, as silly as it is for two guys that have been retired forever. And watching, you know, Chuck was one of our favorites, and watching him get knocked out the last 3 fights he had, that was brutal.
That was.
And sadly, I do think one of the reasons he's coming back is because he doesn't have the money.
Wow.
I do think that's part of it. And I think Tito's coming back.
What's that big shot he took? Who was that guy who hit him?
There was a few.
The first time he was knocked out? What was it? He's from Michigan, that wrestler.
Rashad Evans.
Rashad Evans, yeah.
Rashad Evans closed his eyes and threw a haymaker as Chuck was rushing him against the fence, and he connected and knocked Chuck slick out.
Yeah, that was nasty.
And good for Rashad, bad for Chuck, but wow. There's clips on YouTube of that if you want to check it out. And then Rich Franklin did the same thing. Chuck was chasing him, got Rich up against the fence. Chuck comes in and tries to throw an uppercut, and Rich threw an overhand right and split his lip, literally. Split his lip and knocked him slick out. It was sad to see, you know, and so unfortunately I think Tito wants the fight. Tito's done well business-wise. He's got money. He wants this fight because he's younger, he's in better shape, and he thinks he can get him.
He's gonna get
this is his chance.
Yeah.
He's going to be 1 for 3, but he's going to get that one. I don't know. I think Chuck might knock his ass out again.
Maybe we'll see it.
Maybe we'll see it. But getting back to the Ronnie Coleman thing, you know, that's something that speaks to both of us. I mean, we're not athletes. We're, you know, furthest thing from it. You know, I've always said if I could get my deadlift and squat numbers into the 500s, get my bench into the 400s, I might do a raw powerlifting meet. Mainly just to see that I could do it, or say that I did it, to check that box, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We only go once around this planet, so you got to have the fun you want now. You can't save it for later. You know, not to get too deep, but that's...
I like what you think.
Yeah, you can't.
So we should buy the cars now?
Now.
Race the cars now?
Race the cars now.
Okay.
And so... that's a good segue. Nice work. To talk about some of this car shit. So both of us, I'll say this. When we met, I loved Mustangs just as much as you. And I had a 68.
68 coupe.
68 coupe.
With a 289.
With a 289. And, you know, in a cloud of blue smoke and parts falling off, I drove that thing all over the place.
It had character.
That's one way to put it. But then, you know, my son Jordan came along and we had some bills to deal with, and I sold it. Then I got the 05 GT, and I had that for...
That was a nice car.
It was a nice car. I missed that car. I had that for 5-6 years, and...
my son liked that car.
Your son put that car in the weeds.
He did.
He fixed it, and good for you. But he may have been distracted by a couple of pretty ladies, but he still put it in the weeds. And so the reason I bring that up is, how do I put this? You're a one-woman guy. You're also kind of a one-car guy. All right? So you're a Mustang guy.
Indeed.
You're a Ford guy.
Ford guy.
Ford guy.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. And people have seen this on Facebook and Instagram, pictures that I posted here or there, and you'll see many more. You've got a beautiful 69 Mach 1 that I don't see near enough. I almost want to see that car more than I want to see you most of the time.
That hurts, but okay. It's a nice little car.
It is. What is it? It's a 69 Mach 1.
69 Mach 1, 4-speed, 351 Windsor. Don't have the big block, but it's got a motor.
It's a nice car.
Yeah.
You got front discs.
No.
Front drum. So it's drum all the way around.
All the way around.
You've got and I'll throw it up. I was riding in the car the other day, and you'll see that picture on our Facebook where both of our cars were at the drive-in. Dominic was in my Challenger, and I took a picture of the dash. It just, when you're in a car like that, everything is cool. Everything is cool. You look at the dash, the details in the dash, the details. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Americans don't know how to do interiors. Well, maybe they didn't in the 80s, but in 1969, that thing was pretty slick.
Yeah, it worked back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, something happened in the 70s
Well,
and 80s.
it did. Well, they were transitioning into going digital with things, adding fuel injection, going digital, and it was horrible for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, and what I was going to say is you have a clock in your dash, and for you youngsters out there, it's an actual clock.
Not digital.
Not digital. It has the hands and the second hands.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
the big
awesome.
hand and the little hand.
The big hand and the little hand. But a fantastic car. You had a Thunderbird. You do have a Thunderbird.
I still have it.
You have a 94?
94.
94 Ford Thunderbird 4.6.
Yep. Was
auto.
that the first year of the 4.6?
In the Thunderbird it was, I believe, but I don't, you're the Ford
I'm
man.
not sure. I'm not sure.
And so you'll see more and more videos of us. Allegedly, we took a trip down somewhere where the laws are a little more laxed, and we drag raced my other car, a 72, allegedly a 72 Cutlass with a 403 out of a Trans Am. Still an Oldsmobile, but I shouldn't say out of a Trans Am. For those that don't know, most people don't associate the 403 that know about it with an Oldsmobile, but Buick, Pontiac, and Oldsmobile basically shared an engine platform. All the parts are different, but the blocks and the basic parts of it were the same. And so I have a 403. So this would be for all you youngsters out there, that would be the Bandit Trans Am's engine, or was that a 400? I think it was the 403.
I don't even know. I want to say 400, but I don't know.
All right. We're thinking too hard, and both of us are going to fart or something and pass out. So we'll move on. Anyways, we drag raced these two cars twice. In fairness, our two fat asses were in the Mach 1, and Dominic was in the Cutlass.
Car.
Yeah.
I'm getting moody. It didn't go well.
You won the first race and lost the second. That's what happened. That was a lot of fun. When we talk about getting down in the street, that's what we mean. And again, much like our workouts, we are far from professionals, but we like to have a good time. We like to party.
It's always a good time.
It's always a good time. And so a tidbit for an upcoming deal, we're going to get the Challenger out, and you have another car, which is
The Grocery Getter.
the Grocery Getter. It's a 2014
Taurus.
It's not just a Taurus.
It's a show.
It's a show.
Still a Grocery Getter.
Still a Grocery Getter, but yours is factory, right?
It is.
You've done nothing to
Bone
it.
stock.
Bone stock, black on black. You've got the alloy wheels on there, the forged aluminum alloys from the factory. You did put new tires on it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. New tires.
Yep. New rubber.
New rubber. And I have a 2014 Challenger SRT8, which people on our social media have seen.
Nice car.
It's a nice
Very
car.
nice car.
It was the year before they upgraded the interiors. So it's got the little bit older style interior on it. I like it.
So do I. We fit in it.
We fit in it. And that was the thing. When it came time to buy another muscle car, my poor wife, I had sat in the new Camaro and the new Mustang, and I've had Mustangs in the past. I was kind of a Mustang guy. Not really. People didn't know that about me. I'd had two Mustangs, and people thought I was a Mustang guy. Really, I just love muscle cars. I love them all. I would drive every single one. I would own every single one if I could.
Mm-hmm.
But I ain't rich.
All right.
But when I got in the Challenger, it was so comfortable.
Exactly.
It was just so, and keep in mind, I bought this as a road trip car. We went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We'll talk a little bit about that some other time. But I went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and we took that car, drove it down there, and we had some good times and some bad times, and it was great. It was a great trip. But yeah. So in the future, those two cars are gonna have to get down in the street.
I think so.
So what did we
We
look?
should talk more about your car. That's the interior room. There was 4 guys in there.
Yeah.
The smallest guy was 6'1" and probably 240 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. It is amazing the amount of interior in there. And a friend of
They're
ours,
comfortable in the back seat. They fit.
they were, yeah, it was perfect. I mean, you got to squeeze to get back there, but once you're back there and you sit down, you have plenty of headroom, plenty of shoulder. You know, and the people in the front, you don't have to squeeze up tight to
not at
the
all.
dash. It's a good car.
And there's a lot of weight in the car. And took what, 4th gear to really get hooked up good? 3rd gear? You were
Well,
still breaking loose in 3rd gear.
Allegedly,
Oh yeah. That's right.
we may have pulled out from a restaurant with all 4 of us in there and roasted through 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Yeah, 3rd was talking to you
Yeah.
about that.
I'm not, and that's one thing about me. I'm not really a speed freak, but there's just something about a burnout that does it for me, man.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I like other people's burnouts because I can't afford tires.
Hey, the Chinese are taking care of us there. They got those cheap ass tires. You can just, what are they, $75 a piece?
Show me where to get them.
Yeah, you return the cans, get a new set of tires, and just go back at it. But no, in all seriousness, you come back to those 2 cars. What I do think that's an interesting race for 2 guys who don't know what they're doing. Because even though my car makes 100 more horsepower than yours, you have all-wheel drive and an automatic. And that's an advantage. And that's mainly because of my skill level. I generally don't miss gears, but I'm not terribly fast. And I don't like dumping the clutch because those are
You
expensive.
just have a hard time hooking up.
Right.
You're just going to burn them if you...
Yeah. So it'll be fun. And we're going to do that sooner or later. And you'll see a lot more of that stuff. But on our social media. But... yeah, and so even though we're no street outlaws, those guys are the pros. We like to get down. We like to have fun.
And it's fun to watch the guys who are the best at what they do.
It's fun to watch it. And if you don't watch Street Outlaws, I don't know if it's the top rated show on Discovery, but it's definitely right there if it's not. But those characters on that show and the fun that they have, and you get the passion for the cars and the racing and just the purity of being on the street. And I know because I'm on the interwebs. I see what people post about it, about this being fake or that being fake. Yeah, they're on a access road somewhere and it's blocked off and they have people around them to keep them safe. But the racing's real. You put 3,000 horsepower
Exactly.
in an old muscle car and you back half it and put big ass tires on there and roll it down the street. There's no way to fake that.
Right. They're going down an asphalt road with curbs.
And for anybody out there who's into the autocrossing, I know it's a popular thing. You usually have funny mustaches. If you think that it doesn't take skill, and I see a lot of these memes on different sites that shows like a drag strip, says powerful car, shows an autocross powerful driver, and then shows something else. That is bullshit. You are not fast enough if you think it doesn't take driver skill to get a 3,000 pound car, 2,700 pound car with 3,000 horsepower in it down a track. You watch that one time, watch those cars go down that track, watch them work that wheel. That is a skill level unto its own. And it takes nerves that are different than doing it. And I'm not knocking autocross, really. I think that stuff's awesome too. I really do. What I'm knocking is those guys out there that turn their nose up at drag racing and say it's all about the car and how much money you have. Well, to a degree it is, but so's autocross.
Oh, sure.
Take my Challenger out there that's, a 4,400-pound car with a 6-speed and 500 horsepower, and take a Corvette out there that a guy spent $50,000 on, has 400 and some horsepower, and weighs 3,300 pounds. He had more money than me, and he bought a faster car. Is that the same?
He doesn't have a back seat, though.
He doesn't. And he's, I don't know. I'm not going to rip on Corvettes. I actually want one, but
Do they still make them?
they do. It was the Camaro that went away for a while.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't like that. I take a personal beef with people who talk that way or turn their nose up at drag racing and say it's not. You watch those guys wheel those things down the track, and I dare anybody try it.
Attention. They're paying attention when they're doing it.
Yeah. That is not easily done. For those who think that they hook up and they go straight down the track and you apply gas and shift an automatic, that is not what's going on.
Not the case.
But, yeah. So, if you haven't before, check it out now. Street Outlaws, fantastic. They've got a crazy one, Street Outlaws Memphis. They've tried spin-offs, but part of it is those guys on that show in particular are pretty cool. And they have a nice following. Chief and Sean podcast, rest in peace. Screw you, Discovery. You suck. That show was hilarious. But yeah, so that's how I feel about that stuff. It's crazy. And of course those are different than going out and buying a Hellcat or a GT500 or one of the cars from Lebanon Ford.
Right?
Yeah.
That has to happen.
I don't know how. If you're a true car guy and you're going to buy a new Mustang, you're like, yep, 2018, that's a hot car. I'm getting one. I'm a car guy. I love this stuff. What do you get at Lebanon?
They're making the GTs now with, 700 some horse?
727 with a Roush supercharger. They'll do, with the 2018s, they'll do a Whipple. A Whipple supercharger. How much does that one make?
I don't know. Was it 1200? Was it 1200 that one?
800. 800 horsepower with the Whipple supercharger. It will do that for $40,000. I mean, you're buying a new muscle car, any of them. I don't give it. If you're buying a Camaro, you're buying a Challenger, you're buying a Mustang, you're buying something else and you're making a mistake.
That's right.
And I'm not a big manual versus automatic. My Challenger's a 6-speed. But honestly, if I had a Hellcat, I'd want the auto. I don't know. Hate that all you want, but that's... I don't know that 500... If you're over 500 horsepower in a street car, manual's still fun, of course, but you're going to get way more out of an auto, and you can still have a lot of fun with an auto. Especially the new ones. Dodge has their 8-speed. Ford's got a 10-speed. Chevy's got the same 10-speed.
Same transmission?
Same transmission. They developed it together. Went in the Corvette first, then in the Camaro, and now the Mustang has it for 2018. But for $40,000 out the door,
Yeah, that's...
an 800 horsepower car, are you kidding me? I mean, I don't know how you don't do that. I really don't know how Lebanon isn't just overrun with people.
You should call them. See how long they get one.
Well, you see, you and I know, and we've seen the Mustang's the number one selling sports car in the world, and it has been since 2015. Since they came out with a new one, Ford put it on a global platform. They're selling it everywhere. It outsells everything else in the world. Globally, it's the number one selling sports car in the world for the past 3 years.
What was before 2015?
I believe it was, I want to say it was the M3, like a BMW M series.
Really?
I believe, but I could be wrong. I'm sure the internet will correct me. Yeah, so not only do they do that, what is the EcoBoost package? They have an EcoBoost package. What are they doing there?
Banger?
Yeah.
What is that? 500 some horse,
550.
550 horse out of that 4-cylinder EcoBoost.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
That's an insane amount of power in a fairly lightweight car. You know, I think what do they say? It could run a mid 11s in the quarter.
I would imagine for how light it would be.
I mean, and you get an automatic and you put some drag radials on there, it's gonna do it. That's the thing. It's gonna do it. You know, and maybe my personal bias towards drag racing and not autocrossing is partially where we are. There's no autocross courses anywhere near us.
No.
You can drag race anywhere in the world at any time,
Right.
allegedly. That's why I love it. Not that we do that. We're safe. Mom, I'm safe.
Yep.
That's why I like the automatic. For the kind of fun we will have with a car most of the time, that automatic is going to launch hard. It's going to do what you want it to do pretty much every time, and that smile on your face is going to be huge every time. Every time.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah, they work.
Now, given that, Lebanon's offering a new package this year. What is that? It's a turbocharged, right? They got a Hellion.
Oh, that's what it was. That was the 1,200 horse car.
Yeah.
There's something that was stuck in my mind about.
And for what was it,
horse.
45 grand?
Yeah, I was around mid 40s.
Mid 40s out the door, a 1,200 horsepower Mustang. Now, keep in mind, they're not upgrading the brakes and suspension on any of this. That's on you. What they're doing is getting you dealer-installed power adders. And I think even with if you don't have I think if you get the Roush, you get a limited warranty through Ford and through Roush. But if you're going for the Whipple or the Hellion, Lebanon Ford offers an insurance package for like $1,000. You can tell we've actually looked into this.
Mm-hmm.
That will cover you at least somewhat, the powertrain somewhat.
That's their own warranty?
Yeah, it's theirs. So
okay. So does them guaranteeing their work for a certain amount of time?
Yes. But you know, it's just the amount of fun you can have with a vehicle like that. And these prices, by the way, are with the manual. This is not for the auto. The auto costs more.
Everything for these prices.
It's base everything.
Starting.
So you can get any Mustang you want, and they'll do that to it. But for these prices, it's the base model GT and EcoBoost.
That's insane.
It is. If you're not into the legacy of something, and not to say that the Mustang GT doesn't have a tremendous legacy, because it does, but Ford is coming out with a new GT 500, and there's lots of rumors as to what that's going to be. One of their lead engineers or SVT's leads, are they still called SVT?
I don't think so.
Probably not. It's probably Ford Performance or something. But he's just saying over 700 horsepower. That car.
So it's not going to come close to a Demon.
No.
What's the point?
No.
It's going to handle better?
Yeah, so it's going to handle better. It's going to be like a Shelby GT350, but with 700 and some horsepower, maybe 800. Who knows?
Oh, 350.
Voodoo. That's an insane engine. I don't know how they didn't just boost that engine and call it a GT500. For those who don't know, the Predator engine is a new engine, a new 5.2 liter supercharged that's going in the GT500.
It's not flat plane.
It's not a flat plane. But you're going to have those handling characteristics and more power, which is always a good thing. You know, not to say that the GT350 is underpowered, but I think the car can handle more than it's got.
Never enough power.
Never enough. Yeah, if you can't plow the front wheels through a corner with power, then you don't have enough power yet. It's just not enough. But yeah, the GT500, right? What you're getting there is a legacy. You're getting a Shelby Mustang, started in '67. What'd that thing have?
The 428.
I believe it was a 428. I think you could do single or dual quad, auto or 4-speed. It was Gone in 60 Seconds remake. That was the Eleanor.
Yeah.
One of the best looking cars I've ever seen. It really, I know some people hate on it now because it was a different body kit than a standard GT500, but those guys knew what they were doing and that worked. For me, it did.
That was a good setup.
So talking about the Demon, they're not even making that anymore. The last one rolled off the line last month. They auctioned it off with the last Viper. And together they went for over $1 million. So someone out there got the last ones. What's weird about that is the new Hellcat Red Eye that Dodge has released. They've changed the hood. They've changed a little bit. Now I believe they're all going to be wide bodies. So you've got a dual snorkel hood. It's got twin scoops, and then you've got the wide body kit on it.
Same motor.
It's a detuned Demon engine, which is a little weird, because the Demon at its best, and it might have been on race fuel, and maybe that's the difference. But I know the Demon could make 840 horsepower. It was the fastest accelerating car, mass-produced car in the world. 2.3 seconds, 0 to 60. 9.6 in the quarter. It didn't come with passenger seats. You had to pay an extra $1 if you wanted those.
With a supercharger that had the same displacement of the new EcoBoost engine in the Ford 150.
Right. That's right. Yeah, when you think about it in those terms, it really is insane. And the Viper, of course, is going away. Rumor is, this Demon engine that they've created, not only is it going in the Hellcat Red Eye with 797 horsepower on pump gas, they're also talking about putting a version of it in a new Viper in a couple years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, they're all hustling, man. In my opinion, because the Corvette's going mid-engine, right? We've seen that.
Yep.
I think everybody's aware of that now. The Corvette, and it was long overdue, because if you're going to compete with the Ford GT and still have that Corvette value, and I hope the price doesn't go up too much, because that's the most attractive thing out of it. It's a little out of my reach, but a $50,000 car that can hang with Ferraris, that's something. That's saying something. That's where you get me on that autocross. Give me a vet and put me on an autocross course. Not the autocross course designed for Miatas, because that's boring. And then let me get my Escort GT from 1993 and I'll join you. Sorry. It just, no. I don't care. I'm sure it's cool. I'm sure it's fun. Don't care. Yeah. Not to make everybody rage, but
it's not your thing.
It's just not my thing. It's just not my thing. Yeah, so the GT's going away. They have the Hellcat Red Eye. The Challenger thing is kind of all over the place. I think everybody kind of expected them to do a lighter version of the Challenger and come out with a new design. That didn't happen. So they're just taking this big, comfortable car. They're still just stuffing as much horsepower as they can in it. And I think they're hoping that Ford doesn't overtake them with the GT500.
It doesn't sound like they are.
Not in horsepower numbers, but I'll bet you in acceleration and performance it will.
Just in a lighter car.
Yeah, the ZL1 is already doing that. Maybe not in terms of quarter mile speed, but to jump back, the Demon has a trans brake. It's got you can put big and littles on that. It's got those skinny little tires in the front. It'll lift them. That's really cool. You launch on a trans brake and you're gonna boogie, and you've got power there. So, however, Hennessy has taken the ZL1. Which doesn't have all those things, and they've upped the power. They put stickier tires on it, and they've nearly matched, or did match, the Demon. So having that and talking about the Demon, it's not the end all be all, and that's where those autocross guys get it right to a degree. You can spend a lot of money on a car and make it as fast as you want. Jay Leno's got a video on Jay Leno's Garage right now of a couple guys in a Prius that stuffed a Hellcat motor in it. That's insane. Again, not my cup of tea. You know, you can put a rocket on a piece of shit. It's still a piece of shit, in my opinion. You know, that's just not for me. However, you know, it's hot rodding, right? In its purest form. I get it. Just not for me.
No.
You know, and so that's what they did. They took the ZL1, Hennessy up the performance, up the power, and it either matches or beats a Demon. Now then they turned around and they took a Hellcat and they upped the performance in that and beat both of them. So
exactly.
Whatever.
It's
you know,
aftermarket either
it's
way.
aftermarket either way. But that ZL1 is a scary fast car. You know, you can get that in the manual or the auto. And I'm hearing that the GT500 for the first time will be offered with that 10-speed auto. So that's going to be quite a car. And to me, that will make the Mustang, which has kind of always been its deal, is that it was a do-anything car. You could throw some coilovers on it, you know, through the aftermarket. You could throw some coilovers on it. You could throw a supercharger on it and race around a road course, or you could put a drag pack, you know, drag springs. What's the company? BMR, and I think they're involved in Street Outlaws. You can get some parts from them and drag race it. It's just whatever you wanted to do, the Mustang was able to do it, and it's always been relatively inexpensive. So it's a great platform. More than good. It's a great platform. It's an epic, legendary platform. And I think that's one of the reasons the Camaro kind of lost its way. When it quit in 2002, there was a lot of other things going on. And I know you included, Ford guys love to say, well, the Cobra was coming with the Terminator engine, and that was going to be the end of the Camaro. And it kind of was.
It was for a while.
It was for a while. And GM didn't really have a counter for that. And the sad part is, during the course of all that, we lost Pontiac. And I was always partial to Pontiacs. I've owned a couple, love those cars. That was a bummer to see them go. I'll never forgive GM for that.
Did the government bring the Camaro back? Or was that before?
Oh, man. It was all happening around the same time. And the government bailout is what killed Pontiac. That was the government's call. The government said, you're going to take this money and you're going to lighten your load.
Yep.
And so I believe at the time that cost Pontiac and Saturn. I think they owned Saturn at the time. They had killed Oldsmobile before that. So it was coming. You know, and nowadays I guess there's just isn't a lot of room for that. You know, that many different automakers and types of cars.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. But yeah, so getting back to that, the GT500, you know, it's going to be a killer. You know, they know what the ZL1 does. They know what the Hellcat does. They're looking to meet or exceed their competition. And that's exactly what Chevy was doing with the Camaro. You know, when the Camaro came back in 2010, it was heavy. It was not that fast. It was enough in 2010 because the Ford hadn't gone to the Coyote motor. If you remember, in 2010, the Mustang made 315 horse, whereas the Camaro came back and made 425.
Yep. And
even then, the Mustang was only a tick slower. And then that Coyote came out, and that changed things. And you know, the Camaro has been a consistent performer, but they upped their game big time between 2010 and 2012 as to what that car did. Visibility issues aside, feeling like you're driving a tank in World War II, those little narrow windows to look out of.
Side windows.
Yeah, but that aside, you can't deny what the Camaro does. I mean, the numbers are the numbers, and that's a really fast car, you know. And that was the impetus that caused Ford to get rid of the solid axle, which was also a little sad because that was the drag racing platform. You know, you put a supercharger on a 2013 Mustang GT with an auto, and that solid rear axle, and you know, put some tire on there. Those things were ridiculously fast, and it sounded good, but they all do. But yeah, so Dodge has got kind of an interesting lineup with the RT, the Scat Pack, the SRT8 like mine. I believe it's called SRT now. And then the Hellcat is going to be a standard as well. So you're going to have the Hellcat at 707 horsepower, and then you're going to have the Hellcat Red Eye at 797 with the upgraded engine. That's kind of a lot going on, but yeah.
It's more of a serious straight line car in the upgrade.
Yeah. Yep. Which is funny because none of the challenges are truly meant to be handling cars. Right. They're GT cars. They're true, like you said, and we talked about. They're really comfortable. You can drive them across country, and your back's not going to be killing you. You're not going to feel claustrophobic inside it. You can go. You know. And I'm talking about for guys that are 220 plus pounds and over 6 feet tall. That's you know.
That's more of them.
Yeah, I'm giving us a little there.
I guess.
But yeah, that's those cars are special, and I think, and you and I have talked about this before, but one of the reasons I bought an SRT8 versus an RT or even a Mustang GT or an SS Camaro, I wanted something with a little legacy, something that was a step above. And so that's why I went with the SRT8, because the used GT500 that I wanted, my wife wouldn't let me spend the money on. So that was that.
I hate when that happens.
And same thing with the Camaro. The ZL1s are a little bit higher yet. So the SRT8 was in my range, and it's been a great car. I love that car. All right. That about does it for us. Thanks for listening. Tell your friends. Before the next episode, shout out to us on social media. Any questions or comments you have, we'll answer them there or address them on the next podcast. This is Muscle and Speed.
Let's go to the gym and eat some burgers.
That's right. Let's put some weight on.